What is up, film fans? This is Let's Be Real with Brad. So today on the channel, we're going to do something completely different, and we're going to be talking about Sean Jackson from Lost in the Reel. Sean Jackson is a great friend of mine in this movie sphere community, and I am so glad to say that he has gained over 2,000 subscribers. What an incredible achievement. He asked us fellow YouTubers and other people like in this awesome video that he did that I will link down below, asking us what are our 3 most underrated gems of all time. This could range from all different things of movies that are fantastic that have just never got the recognition from people, movies that are genuinely underrated and underappreciated by reviews and ratings alike. We're gonna just dive right into this video, and we're gonna start with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I am so glad I was able to check this movie out on Amazon Prime at the recording of this video, because I genuinely really love this movie as I was trying to go through all the Texas Chainsaw movies, just because the new one is supposed to come out at some point this year. So I just want to prepare myself to watch them all, because a good amount of them are on streaming right now. Why I think this movie is so underrated is because, well, it got a lot of bad reviews when it came out, and there's still some people that genuinely don't like this movie. But what I think works so much is that it has aged so incredibly well, because it is almost a comedy horror that takes everything that we loved about the first one and just goes all in on the satire, being extremely funny, having some really creative and insane kills, and with some pretty good characters from the same director, Tobe Hooper, who did the first one. It is very clear of what this movie is going for, as the director just realized that he's no way he's going to top that original film or even get that close. So how about we just do something completely different? And I think audiences just were not prepared for it. The second pick in my top 3 most underrated films of all time is 007's License to Kill. As I was reviewing every single James Bond movie for the very first time, I was doing before, all the way to No Time to Die, I ended up watching License to Kill, which is the second and final performance of Timothy Dalton in the James Bond role. I found it to be one of the best James Bond films, and I think the reason for this is because it is the, I'd say, darkest James Bond film that we had yet, especially during the time, because before that we had all the Roger Moore films that were all very silly, goofy, and changed a lot since the Sean Connery films. So then we have the 2 Timothy Dalton films that are very dark and much more serious in tone in the spy espionage thriller kind of movie, and it took people off from what they were expecting. So with having License to Kill, of setting up this very dark story and doing things, making James Bond a lethal killer in this movie, I was so damn into it. And I think this movie has aged so incredibly well, and I think this is definitely one of the most underrated movies of all time that not a lot of people know about, as it was one of the lowest grossing James Bond films, which is such a travesty. And my third and final pick of my most underrated films of all time is Tenet. I know this is going to be a very controversial take, because Tenet just came out last year, but I am a massive fan of Tenet, as I have pretty much seen it 2 to 3 times at this point. I have the poster in my room. I got the beautiful and amazing 4K. This movie is fantastic, and I think this is such an underrated movie just because a lot of people didn't understand this movie, and I think that became a detriment to the movie, when I think there are so many other movies out there that are very confusing but get a pass. And I think this movie should too, because of its amazing action sequences, directing, editing, and having our characters be kind of mysterious, but that's just the whole point of the movie. But I think every time I watch Tenet, I want to see what happens next. I want to be able to figure it out. I like the idea that some of the things just don't make sense, because in Christopher Nolan's mind, it does make sense. It might take 6 to 7 times to watch it, but that is way more interesting and exciting than any other action movie that is pretty much out today. And I truly do think, like deep down in my heart, that it will be considered a classic in the next 10 to 15 years. So those were all my picks for the top 3 most underrated films of all time, and my personal opinion of what I have seen at the recording of this video. What are your guys' most underrated films of all time? Before you check out this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, but as well as Lost in the Reel. I will leave the video and his channel link down below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the following video.